You believe you're experiencing this moment right now. Not a moment ago, not a recording of a moment, the actual present, happening as it happens, shared by everyone around you. If I asked you to point to now, you'd think the question was stupid. Now is obviously now. It's the one thing you can't doubt. You're in it. Everyone is in it. The present moment is where reality occurs, the thin edge between past and future, the only time that actually exists. This feels so obviously true that questioning it seems like word games. But here's what Feynman's physics actually forces us to accept. You have never experienced now, not once in your entire life. You think you have because your brain is extremely good at lying to you about when things happen. But every single thing you've ever seen, heard, felt, or thought about has already happened by the time you experience it. You are not living in the present moment. You are living in the past, receiving delayed reports, and your brain stitches them together into something that feels immediate. This isn't philosophy. This isn't about perception or consciousness or interpretation. This is about the physical structure of reality and how information moves through space. When we actually look at what happens, not what we assume happens, but what we can measure and test, the present moment disappears. It doesn't get fuzzy or uncertain. It genuinely does not exist in the way you think it does. What's left in its place is stranger and more constrained, but it's what's actually there. Let's build this carefully, starting with the one speed limit that breaks everything. Light moves at 299,792,458 meters per second in a vacuum. You've probably heard this number before, you might have memorized it in school, but knowing the number is not the same as understanding what it means. Here's what it means. This is the maximum speed at which anything can happen. Not just light, not just electromagnetic waves. Causality itself cannot propagate faster than this speed. If something happens over here, and it causes something to happen over there, the influence connecting those two events cannot travel faster than light. This is not a technological limitation. It's not that we haven't built a faster transmitter yet. It's that the universe does not permit instant connections between separated points in space. Think about what this actually implies. If you and I are standing 10 feet apart, nothing you do can affect me instantly. If you snap your fingers, the sound has to travel through air to reach my ears. If you turn on a flashlight, the light has to travel through space to reach my eyes. If you somehow generated a gravitational wave, it would propagate at exactly the speed of light. There is no mechanism, none that we've ever found, none that physics allows, for your action to instantly cause something to happen where I am. Information takes time to travel. Now here's the critical part. Every single thing you know about the world comes to you as information. You see things because light traveled from them to your eyes. You hear things because sound waves traveled from them to your ears. You feel things because nerve signals traveled from your skin to your brain. All of it is delivered information. None of it is instant, which means everything you experience has already happened somewhere else at some earlier time, and you're only now receiving the report. You are never in direct contact with events as they occur. You are always receiving mail from the past. The delay might be tiny, but it's never zero. And once you understand this, the present moment starts to fall apart. When you look at something, you think you're seeing it now. You're not. You're seeing where it was when light left it. This is not a technicality. It's what seeing actually is. Light bounces off an object, travels through space, enters your eye, triggers chemical reactions in your retina, generates electrical signals that propagate down your optic nerve, and eventually reaches your visual cortex, where your brain constructs what you experience as seeing. All of that takes time. Every step is delayed. Look at the sun. You're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. The light that's hitting your eyes right now left the sun 8 minutes in the past. If the sun exploded, you wouldn't know for 8 minutes. You'd keep seeing a sun that no longer exists. Look at a star. Depending on which star, you're seeing it as it was years ago, decades ago, sometimes thousands of years ago. That star might not even exist anymore, but you're still seeing its past. Now look at your friend sitting across the table from you. You're seeing them as they were a few nanoseconds ago. Not many, but never zero. The light had to travel from their face to your eyes. That takes time. You have never seen another person as they are right now. You've only ever seen where they were when the light left them, and this applies to everything. The walls around you, the floor beneath you, your own hands in front of your face. Every single photon that reaches your eye is a messenger from the past. There is no perceptual access to the present. Vision is fundamentally historical. You are always looking backward in time. Your brain hides this from you by making everything feel simultaneous. But that's construction, not reality. The delays are usually tiny at human scales, so your brain can pretend everything is happening now. But the pretending doesn't change what's actually occurring. You are living in a museum of the recent past, looking at images that have already expired by the time you see them. You might think the solution is simple. Yes, we see things with a delay, but there's still an actual present moment out there that we're just observing slightly late. Somewhere in reality, there's a real now happening, even if we can't access it instantly. This is what Einstein destroyed, not because he had a clever interpretation, but because the measurements forced it. Here's what happens. Take two events that occur in different locations. Event A happens here, event B happens over there. You, standing still, measure them and conclude they happened at exactly the same time. They're simultaneous. They share the same now. But someone moving relative to you, say passing by you in a spaceship at high speed, measures those exact same two events and concludes that event A happened before event B, not by a little, by a measurable, predictable amount that depends on their speed. Someone moving in the opposite direction measures event B happening before event A. Same events, different ordering. This is not a mistake. This is not about signal delays or observation difficulties. This is about the actual structure of spacetime. Simultaneity, the idea that two separated events happen at the same time, is not absolute. It depends on your motion. There is no fact of the matter about whether distant events are happening now or not. The universe does not contain a universal present moment that sweeps through space, synchronized everywhere. Now, across space is undefined. It's not that it's hard to determine or that we lack the technology to measure it. It's that the question itself has no answer. Physics does not provide a mechanism for defining a universal present. Different observers, moving at different speeds, will disagree about what's happening simultaneously, and they're all equally correct. This means when you ask, "What's happening right now on Mars?" there is no single answer. The question assumes something exists that doesn't exist. It assumes there's a shared present moment connecting you and Mars. But space-time doesn't work that way. The present moment, as a concept that extends across space, is not a feature of reality. It's a leftover from our intuition, built for creatures moving slowly across small distances. At those scales, everyone agrees closely enough that we never notice the problem. But the agreement is approximate, not fundamental. Let's make this worse. Even your own body doesn't exist in a single moment. When you stub your toe, the pain doesn't reach your brain instantly. The signal has to travel up your leg, through your spinal cord, and into your brain. Nerve signals move at roughly 100 meters per second, much slower than light, but still measurable. Your toe is about a meter from your brain. That means the pain signal takes about 10 milliseconds to arrive. When your brain registers, "I'm in pain," your toe was already in pain 10 milliseconds ago. Your brain is always experiencing your toe's past, never its present. Now touch your nose and your toe at the exact same instant. The signals don't arrive at your brain at the same time. Your nose is closer, so that signal arrives first. But here's what your brain does. It lies. It timestamps both sensations as simultaneous. It waits for the slower signal, then retroactively constructs an experience where both touches happened at the same moment. You experience a unified now that never actually occurred. Your brain manufactures synchronicity from asynchronous inputs. This is called the binding problem. Your brain receives information from different senses at different speeds. Vision is processed faster than touch faster than pain, and somehow it has to decide what belongs to the same moment. It solves this by creating a window, roughly 80 to 100 milliseconds wide, and treating everything that arrives within that window as now. Everything outside the window gets sorted into past or future. But this window is arbitrary. It's a construction. The present moment you experience is your brain's editorial decision about which delayed signals to group together. It's not reporting reality as it happens. It's building a story from old mail, and the delays compound. Light takes time to reach your eye. Chemical reactions in your retina take time. Signals travel down your optic nerve, taking more time. Your visual cortex processes the information. More time. By the time you consciously see something, it happened at least 80 to 100 milliseconds ago, sometimes longer for complex processing. You are not perceiving the world in real time. You're watching a delayed broadcast, and your brain edits it to feel live. This isn't a defect. It's necessary. Your brain can't wait for perfect simultaneity because perfect simultaneity doesn't exist. So it does the next best thing. It creates a functional present moment, a useful fiction that lets you navigate the world. And it works beautifully at human scales, but it's still fiction. The unified now you experience, where your whole body exists in one moment, where the world feels synchronized, is something your brain constructs after the fact, not something that exists in reality. So what is the present moment? If it's not what we think it is, it's a model. A working approximation your brain builds from delayed, asynchronous data to help you survive and act in the world. It's not a lie in the sense of being deliberately false. It's a necessary simplification of a reality that's too messy and delayed to navigate without processing. Think about what your brain is actually doing. It's receiving thousands of signals at different speeds from different sources, all arriving late, all reporting events that already happened, vision from 80 milliseconds ago, touch from 10 to 50 milliseconds ago, depending on where on your body, sound from whenever it took for the wave to reach your ear. Your brain takes all these time-stamped reports from different moments and constructs a single coherent experience that feels like now. It's doing data fusion in real time, building a synchronized model that doesn't exist in the input. Why does it work? Because at human scales, the delays are small enough that treating them as simultaneous doesn't get you killed. If you're reaching for a piece of fruit, it doesn't matter that you're seeing it 80 milliseconds late and feeling it 30 milliseconds late. The fruit isn't moving fast enough for the delay to matter. Your brain's approximation is good enough. Evolution didn't optimize for metaphysical accuracy. It optimized for functional behavior. A unified sense of now helps you coordinate action. It helps you attribute causes to effects. It helps you predict what will happen next. So your brain builds that experience even though the inputs don't support it. But here's what's important. The fact that it works doesn't mean it's true. It means it's useful. There's a difference. A map works for navigation, but the map is not the territory. Your experience of the present moment works for living your life, but that experience is not what's actually happening in physical reality. What's actually happening is this. You exist at a point in space-time. Information reaches you from your past light cone, the collection of all events that are far enough in the past that light from them could have reached you by now. That information arrives delayed, gets processed, and becomes your experience. You never step outside this structure. You never contact events as they occur. You only ever receive reports from the past, and your brain assembles those reports into something that feels immediate. The present moment is not a thin slice of time that you inhabit along with everyone else. It's a constructed experience, localized to you, built from information that's already old by the time it arrives. Other people are building their own present moments from their own delayed information. Those constructions overlap enough at human speeds and distances that we can communicate and coordinate, but they're not the same moment. There is no shared now that we're all experiencing together. There are only individual perspectives, each assembling their own sense of presence from information flowing in from the past. This is what the present actually is, not a moment in time, but a processing buffer, not a feature of reality, but a feature of how brains interact with reality. It's the brain's answer to the problem of navigating a world where everything you know is always slightly out of date. If you're not in the present moment, where are you? You're in a light cone, not metaphorically, literally. This is the actual geometric structure that defines your location in space-time. Here's what that means. Imagine every event in the universe as a point in four-dimensional space-time, three dimensions of space, one of time. Now, from your current position, draw lines outward in all spatial directions, but tilted because those lines can only travel at the speed of light. These lines trace out a cone shape expanding backward into the past. This is your past light cone. Everything inside this cone is an event that could have sent you information by now. Everything outside this cone is too far away in space or too recent in time for light to have reached you yet. Those events might as well not exist from your perspective because they cannot have influenced you. Nothing from outside your past light cone can affect you at this moment. This isn't about what you happen to know or what you've observed. This is about what's physically possible. An event outside your past light cone could not have caused anything you're experiencing right now because there hasn't been enough time for any signal, any influence, any information to travel from that event to you. The light cone is a causal boundary. It separates what can affect you from what cannot, and you never leave it. As time passes, your light cone expands. Events that were outside it move inside it. New information becomes accessible, but you're always bounded by this structure. You're always confined to knowing only what has had time to reach you. This is where you actually are, not in a moment of time shared with everyone else, but in a causal structure defined by your position in space-time and the speed limit of information. Now here's the critical realization. Everyone else is in their own light cone. Someone standing next to you has nearly the same light cone as you, close enough that the difference doesn't matter for conversation. But someone on Mars has a different light cone. Events that are inside your light cone might be outside theirs. What has reached you hasn't reached them yet. There is no universal present connecting you. There are only overlapping light cones, causal structures that intersect but don't align. When you ask, where am I in time? The answer is not in the present moment. The answer is at the apex of my past light cone, receiving information from everything inside it. That's your actual location in the structure of space-time, not a point in time, but a point in a causal network. You're not experiencing now. You're experiencing everything that has managed to reach you. And here's what makes this concrete. We can test it. We can measure light travel time. We can calculate exactly how delayed your information is based on distance. We can observe that simultaneity is relative, just as Einstein predicted. We can map light cones and verify that information doesn't escape them. This isn't speculation. This is engineering. GPS satellites have to account for relativity, or they'll give you the wrong location within minutes. Particle accelerators have to account for time dilation, or the particles won't behave as expected. The light cone structure is not a theoretical curiosity. It's the framework we use to make accurate predictions about reality. Let's be clear about what we've actually established and what we haven't. You still exist. Events still happen. Causality still works. Nothing we've discussed makes reality dissolve into chaos or renders your experience meaningless. What we've established is that one specific model, the model of a universal present moment that everyone shares simultaneously, is wrong, not approximately wrong, not philosophically debatable. Wrong in the sense that physics does not support it, measurements contradict it, and the universe does not appear to be structured that way. The present moment as you intuitively understand it does not exist. But here's what does exist: a consistent causal structure where events influence other events in a predictable order, bounded by the speed of light. You can still say, this happened before that, for events in your light cone. You can still plan actions and predict outcomes. You can still have conversations with people near you because your light cones overlap so much that the differences don't matter. Physics hasn't removed cause and effect. It's just removed the idea that there's a universal now sweeping through space that everyone experiences together. Your daily life doesn't change. You still catch the ball, have the conversation, feel the pain, see the sunset. But your understanding of what's happening changes. You're not experiencing things as they happen. You're experiencing things as they reach you. The difference is small at human scales, but fundamental in structure. This also doesn't mean everything is relative or that truth doesn't exist. The speed of light is absolute. The structure of light cones is absolute. The causal relationships between events are absolute. If event A caused event B, everyone agrees on that regardless of their motion. What's relative is simultaneity for events that are spatially separated and not causally connected. That's a specific technical claim, not a general statement that nothing is real. And this definitely doesn't mean consciousness creates reality or that observation determines what exists. Your brain constructing a unified sense of now from delayed signals is a neurological process, not a metaphysical one. The delays exist whether you're conscious of them or not. The relativity of simultaneity exists whether anyone observes it or not. We're talking about physics, not philosophy of mind. What this does mean is that the intuitive model you've been using your entire life is wrong in a specific, measurable way. Time doesn't work the way it feels like it works. The present moment isn't a real feature of space-time. It's a constructed feature of your experience. And once you see this clearly, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to thinking everyone shares the same now. You can't pretend your experiences are immediate rather than delayed. The old model breaks, and you're left with something stranger, a universe where causality is local, where information flow is limited, where the present moment is a useful fiction rather than a fundamental reality. This is what Feynman meant when he talked about the difference between knowing the name of something and understanding what it does. Everyone knows the phrase, the present moment. Very few people understand that it doesn't exist in the way they think it does. Now you do. Now let's mark the boundary between what we know and what we don't. What we know, the speed of light is finite and nothing exceeds it. This has been measured to extreme precision and confirmed in countless experiments. What we know. Light travel time is real and measurable. We can calculate exactly how long it takes for light to travel from any object to your eye, and those calculations match observations. What we know. Simultaneity is relative. Experiments with fast-moving particles, atomic clocks on airplanes, and GPS satellites all confirm that different observers moving at different speeds measure different orderings of events. What we know, your brain takes time to process sensory information. We can measure neural transmission speeds, processing delays, and the timing of conscious awareness. All of this is testable, tested, and confirmed. Here's what we don't know: why the speed of light has the value it has, why that specific number and not some other number. We can measure it, but we can't derive it from anything more fundamental. We don't know why there's a speed limit at all. We know that causality has a maximum speed, but we don't know why the universe is structured this way rather than allowing instant connections. And we absolutely don't know what consciousness is or how subjective experience arises from physical processes. We know your brain processes delayed information and constructs a unified experience, but we don't know how electrical activity in neurons becomes the feeling of experiencing a present moment. That remains completely mysterious. So here's the honest assessment. The physics is solid. The measurements are real. The structure of space-time, light cones, and delayed information, all of that is tested and confirmed. But when it comes to the deeper why questions, we're still guessing. We can describe what happens without understanding why it must be that way. This is important because there's a temptation to take solid physics and extend it into metaphysics, to take what we know about information delays and build grand theories about the nature of reality or consciousness. Resist that. What we've established is specific and limited. You don't experience the present moment as it happens. Your experience is constructed from delayed information, and there's no universal now connecting distant events. That's it. That's what the physics tells us. Everything beyond that, what consciousness really is, whether free will exists, what it means for something to be real, those questions remain open.